And now I'd like to move on to the 2021 Mary Litynski Award. In 2010, MAAWG and the internet industry as a whole lost a great friend and supporter, Mary Litynski. To honor her behind the scenes efforts and commitment, we have created an annual award to recognize an individual who has significantly contributed to making the internet safer for all. Mary was integral to the early days of MAAWG and helping to establish a lot of what we accomplish here today. This is one of the reasons why this year's award winner is appropriate, as he too has been a critical component to our success over the years. I've known and worked with him virtually my whole career in anti-abuse, and when I finally began attending MAAWG meetings, he was immediately someone who lent a hand in understanding how things worked, and a great example for me as to what it means to take on the roles of committee chair, board member, and eventually chairman, as he's held all of these positions as well. We'll get into what MAAWG means to him, as well as other industry initiatives that make him so deserving of this accolade. This year's Mary Litynski Award goes to Alex Bobotek of MAAWG and AT&T.
Thank you, Sev. I would like to
Congratulations.
express my gratitude to the MAAWG chairs, officers, board, and membership for being the community that MAAWG is, and the MAAWG staff, including Mary Litynski for providing the structure, and Jerry Upton and now Amy for providing a substrate and guiding much of the MAAWG activity. And thank you, Severin, the awards committee, and the MAAWG board for your leadership and this award. Jacinta Tobin, Jamie DeGarrett, David Somerville, and Will Clerman were indispensable partners. I've also been most fortunate to have supportive managers in AT&T, especially Chris Rinney, Ed Amoroso, Scott McElroy, Lee Rudolph, Florian Ion, Joe Mueller, and Jeff LeBlanc, who supported uncharted activities with uncertain results and took some risks because they believed it was the right thing to do.
Great. Well, as I mentioned, you and I first met in person about 12 years ago, right as the 7726 short code program to report SMS spam was rolling out. As one of your most visible achievements, and a large one for MAAWG as well, can you give us an idea of the genesis and importance of this program?
The beginnings of this are somewhat accidental. I began working with Vipul and Jordan Ritter, Vipul of Vipul's Razor, one of the first anti-spam tools, a plugin for Spam Assassin, and Jordan Ritter, or Vipul, who wanted to develop collaborative computing mechanisms, and Jordan Ritter of Napster fame, who obviously did something that involved great user collaboration. And working on a different spam problem, I became familiar with the user feedback concept and was struck with its technical and social genius. It's very effective, and it invites the users to work with each other, as well as the service providers, to fight a common enemy, the spammers. It's incredibly empowering. This was in the back of my mind, and we embarked on a project where we were depending upon mobile honeypots to inform us of the spam in our network. Of course, you can't do anything about spam if you don't know it's there. And unfortunately, mobile honeypots didn't work well. The basic problem there is you have about if you're randomly dialing, you have about a 50% chance of hitting a valid number. And the honeypots basically got too many false positives. So with this in mind, this background that I'd gained, and I should point out I met Vipul and Jordan through MAAWG. So these ideas were very much rooted in MAAWG relationships. So what I did was to fund a prototype 7726 spam reporting system. It itself never really took off. It was never deployed, but it caused us to launch something. And in 2009, we announced at MAAWG and GSMA Mobile World Congress the first, to my knowledge at least, 7726 based mobile feedback spam reporting system. This took a lot of collaboration. One of the things we needed to do was publicize and think about how we could get people to actually collaborate and use this system. Of course, 7726 itself was part of it, as it spells spam. 7726 is spam on a telephone keyboard. But we still needed to publicize it so more users would know about it, so that other companies would adopt it, so that we could benefit from each other's publicity activities and create this global effort to create a common threat intelligence and defense community. So MAAWG, CloudMark, and GSMA were in a win-win-win partnership with CloudMark, especially Jacinta Tobin, Jamie Daguerre, David Somerville, and Will Clerman, who are also very active in MAAWG as indispensable partners.
That's great. And some of the methodology in utilizing the data of those reports continue to be important as spammer tactics change and has evolved over the years. Can you describe what was novel at the time but has since become foundational to current anti-abuse methods?
Initially, spam filters, where they existed, and by the way, almost nobody had mobile spam filters at that time. There were primarily spam filters in the email to text messaging gateways, which at that time were the primary source of spam. So initially, this threat intelligence was used to feed spam filters and a manual account suspension termination process. Every week, there were a few spammers. Then every day, there were a few spammers. And then every hour, there were a few spammers. And when the mobile spam problem really exploded in 2012, I reacted by creating an automated AT&T internal spam defense, which automatically and/or with human review rapidly killed the offending accounts. And then at a company and industry level, I worked to create data sharing initiatives, which greatly enhanced the impact. We began sharing with industry partners. I should point out that these were sanitized versions of the reports, pushing back information to the parties that could kill accounts. And this grew and grew. We found more and more value. 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 in collaborative efforts.
Yeah, and a running theme here is the collaboration between MAAWG members. As a former chairman and long-term contributor, why do you think this is still a valuable endeavor?
Well, clearly we need the threat intelligence, but we gain more and more, and you mentioned collaboration here, in increasing our feeds. We've been feeding downstream defenses such as blacklist providers, DNS security, phone and server takedown services, anti-phishing organizations, and safe browsing services. And I think we can, the more collaboration here, the better. We just have to be careful to respect user privacy, and where we are sharing information, we do so with consent.
Oh, definitely. And I think a good example of that has been the VTA SIG, which has since rolled up into the work done within the technical committee. What's on the horizon for the committee, and where could you use more collaborators there for mobile?
Well, one of the things we need to do is create a next generation of end user feedback. 7726, which was first deployed in 2009, was great in that we could deploy it quickly, but especially in the mobile environment where there are so many different vendors, phone vendors, security vendors, and telcos that all have to play together as part of this as part of this community. We need to move beyond the two-step process. We need simple, effective, one-click type end user feedback mechanisms. And MAAWG Technical has just started a working group to push next generation initiatives based on APIs rather than simple replies. And another is deeper threat sharing. We have, for example, well, let me just pose a scenario. Do I want my bank to be notified if my carrier or some third party thinks I may have been phished? There are huge privacy concerns here and a huge benefit. This could protect my bank account. How do we work through the privacy concerns and collaborate to offer our users better protection and a safer ecosystem?
Certainly.
So,
go ahead.
so please feel free to join the MAAWG Technical mobile group, sign up on the MAAWG websites, and join the community.
Fantastic. And speaking of things that new attendees could participate in, we see a lot more of them joining through these virtual sessions. Even through companies that have been MAAWG members for a while, more of their employees are able to join because of the virtual sessions that we've been holding. Is there any anecdote or advice that you can provide them from your perspective in working in MAAWG and working with this industry?
Well, reflecting on the collaboration and empowerment themes, right? One of the I touched earlier on how people feel empowered by being able to join into a passionate community that is effective in fighting abuse, and you can do that. You're by joining and participating. This passion. Not only do we have this contagious passion that we share and build, but you will learn and see how much your efforts matter. You can make a difference. So please join.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Alex. And on behalf of the board and the awards committee, once again, congratulations on winning the award this year.
Thank you again.
All right. Now I'd like to turn it over to Jana Jones, our vice chairperson and our keynote for this meeting.